The case of Vinicius Moutinho is one that shocked Brazil, a story that began as a romantic night and spiraled into a nightmare no one could have imagined. It's a case filled with beauty, deceit, and a darkness that still leaves investigators haunted. He was a kind, quiet man searching for love. She was Larissa Duarte, the mysterious woman who promised affection but delivered something far more sinister. What started as a date between two strangers turned into one of the most chilling stories of modern true crime. Before we dive deep into this terrifying tale of obsession and betrayal, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and stay active so you never miss another true crime story like this. Your support helps us bring more real-life mysteries and dark tales to light. Now, let's uncover the truth behind. She turned their night together into a living hell. The case of Vinicius Moutinho. Vinicius Moutinho was the kind of man who believed that love, when found, could fix almost anything. At 28, he had a stable job as a software engineer in São Paulo, a tidy apartment in a quiet neighborhood, and a small but loyal group of friends. His life was organized and predictable, maybe too predictable. After 2 years of focusing on his career, he decided it was time to open himself up again, to risk the uncertainty of meeting someone new. That's when he downloaded a dating app and matched with a woman named Larissa Duarte. Larissa was captivating from the start. Her profile was full of travel photos, elegant outfits, and a smile that looked both kind and mysterious. Her messages were warm and intelligent, and Vinicius found himself checking his phone more often than ever. Their conversations flowed easily, and after a few weeks, they agreed to meet in person. He suggested dinner at his apartment, a simple night with homemade food, wine, and music. On the evening of March 12, 2021, Vinicius meticulously prepared. He cooked pasta from scratch, lit a few candles, and chose a soft jazz playlist. When Larissa arrived, she looked even more stunning than her photos. She brought a bottle of red wine and complimented his cooking. From the outside, it was the perfect first date. Two people sharing laughter, stories, and gentle smiles under dim light. Yet, beneath the charm of that night, something felt slightly off, too perfect, almost rehearsed. Neighbors later recalled hearing faint music, then silence. By morning, the lights in Vinicius' apartment still glowed, but no one would ever see him alive again. By Monday morning, the absence of Vinicius Moutinho had begun to worry those who knew him best. He was a man of routine, someone who arrived at work early, answered messages promptly, and never ignored calls. When he didn't show up to his office, his colleagues assumed he might be ill. But by the afternoon, concern turned to alarm. His phone went straight to voicemail, and none of his family members had heard from him since Friday night. His closest friend, Rafael, decided to visit his apartment after work, only to find the door locked and no response from inside. It wasn't until the following day that a neighbor reported a strange odor seeping from under Vinicius' door. She described it as a mix of chemicals and something metallic. When police arrived, they forced entry and were met with an unsettling scene. The apartment was eerily tidy, almost too clean. The table was still set for two, the wine bottle half empty, and two glasses stood by the sink, one cracked with traces of red lipstick on the rim. A few drops of dried blood marked the kitchen floor, leading toward the living room, where officers found burn marks on the carpet. There were no signs of forced entry, but the tension in the room was palpable. Vinicius' clothes, wallet, and laptop were missing, as though he had simply vanished in the middle of the night. The only thing that stood out was the faint, lingering scent of perfume in the air, something floral and expensive. It clung to the furniture, the curtains, even the floor. Investigators realized they weren't looking at a disappearance caused by chance, but by someone who had planned every detail to perfection. The discovery of the building's security footage became the first real breakthrough in the case. Investigators spent hours reviewing video from the night Vinicius disappeared, frame by frame. At exactly 10:47 p.m., a woman in a deep red dress appeared in the hallway, her long dark hair cascading over her shoulders. She carried a small purse, smiled at the camera, and pressed the buzzer for Vinicius' apartment. The guard on duty later confirmed she introduced herself as Larissa Duarte, saying she was there for dinner. Everything about her seemed composed and elegant, the kind of woman who could easily charm anyone she met. But what caught investigators' attention came later. At around 2:03 a.m., the same woman was seen leaving the building alone. Her dress was gone. She now wore an oversized gray hoodie and sneakers. Over her shoulder, she dragged a large black suitcase that appeared heavy. Despite the late hour, she moved with calm confidence, glancing once at the lobby camera and offering a polite wave to the security guard before disappearing into the darkness outside. The footage raised more questions than answers. If the evening had ended normally, why was she leaving with luggage? And where was Vinicius? Police traced every taxi and ride service recorded near the building that night, eventually finding that she had taken a car to a bus terminal across town. From there, the trail went cold. When detectives tried contacting Larissa through her phone and social media accounts, everything was gone. Her profiles were deleted, her number disconnected, and her name yielded no official records. It became clear that the woman Vinicius had welcomed into his home wasn't who she claimed to be. She had vanished into thin air, taking every trace of him with her. As investigators dug deeper into the mysterious woman known as Larissa Duarte, the illusion began to crumble. The name turned out to be fake, along with the phone number, address, and social media history she had used. With the help of digital forensics, police traced her image through older online profiles, eventually uncovering her real identity. Marina Alves a 26-year-old former model with a history of deceit. She had been involved in multiple scams, targeting wealthy or lonely men through dating apps and luxury events. Her charm was her weapon, and she knew exactly how to manipulate emotions to get what she wanted. Marina's criminal record revealed a disturbing pattern. In previous cases, she had befriended men, gained access to their homes, and disappeared with valuable possessions. But this time, it was different. There was no sign of theft. Vinicius' expensive watch, his laptop, even his car were left untouched. That detail puzzled detectives. If money wasn't her motive, what was? A search of her last known apartment uncovered photographs of several men, each with notes written on the back, dates, names, and cryptic phrases like "too trusting" and "keeps secrets." Among them was a printed picture of Vinicius, marked with a small red heart. Investigators also found evidence that Marina had studied psychology and criminology briefly before dropping out. It seemed she had an obsession with control, fascinated by human behavior and fear. The psychological profile built around her painted a chilling picture. She wasn't driven by greed, but by power. She enjoyed orchestrating situations where others depended on her completely. In Vinicius' case, she had taken things further than ever before, leaving detectives to wonder whether he was her first victim to pay the ultimate price. 2 months after Vinicius Moutinho's disappearance, the case had grown cold. Leads had dried up, and Marina Alves, still known publicly as Larissa Duarte, seemed to have vanished completely. That changed when an anonymous call came into the São Paulo police station late one night. The voice on the line was trembling but clear. The caller claimed to have seen a woman matching Marina's description at a small, secluded property near a lake on the outskirts of the city. Within hours, a team of investigators was dispatched to the location. The house stood isolated among tall trees, its windows covered with dark curtains. From the outside, it looked abandoned, but once police forced their way in, the atmosphere turned chilling. The walls were covered with photographs, some of landscapes, others of people, but several were unmistakably of Vinicius. Some were printed from his social media, while others appeared to have been taken secretly. In one frame, he was smiling outside his apartment. In another, he was sleeping on a couch, completely unaware of the camera. In a locked room in the basement, officers found chains fixed to the wall, a mattress, and a small table with half-empty water bottles and food containers. DNA testing would later confirm that Vinicius had been held there. But the most disturbing discovery was a message written on the wall in bright red lipstick. Asterisk, he wanted forever. I gave it to him. Asterisk. Footprints led from the back door down toward the edge of the lake, but they ended abruptly at the water. Divers searched for days, but found nothing. Whether Marina had drowned, escaped, or hidden somewhere new remained a haunting mystery that left investigators with more fear than relief. Months passed without any new leads, and for a time, the case of Vinicius Moutinho seemed destined to fade into the archives of unsolved crimes. Then, one misty morning, A fisherman on the edge of the lake where Marina's hideout had been discovered noticed something floating near the reeds. At first, he thought it was driftwood, but when he approached, he realized it was a human body. Authorities quickly arrived, and the remains were soon identified through dental records as belonging to Vinicius. The news shocked the public and reignited the investigation. An autopsy revealed that the cause of death was drowning, but the pathologist found bruises on his wrists and ankles, consistent with restraints. His body also showed signs of prolonged malnutrition and dehydration, suggesting he had been held captive for weeks before escaping. Traces of lake mud in his lungs implied that he had tried to swim to freedom. The tragedy was almost unbearable. He had managed to flee, only to lose his strength in the cold, dark water. Forensic experts searched the area again, hoping to find Marina's body or clues of her escape, but nothing surfaced. No fingerprints, no DNA, no footprints beyond the lake's edge. Interpol later received reports of a woman resembling her in Argentina and Uruguay, but none were confirmed. Over time, Marina Alves became a ghost story whispered on online forums, a woman who preyed on affection and turned it into terror. Vinicius' family buried him quietly, choosing not to speak to the press. Yet the haunting message from the basement, he wanted forever. I gave it to him, remained etched in the minds of all who heard it, a chilling reminder that obsession can wear the mask of love.